Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of Organic Matters, the podcast brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. I am in a really sweet little farm shop here on the Limerick kind of Tipperary border, and I'm here with the farm manager of Doon Social Farm, Marian Clarke. Marian, thank you very much for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. Lovely to see you, Hannah.
And like I said, we're in your farm shop, and this is a fairly new enterprise for you guys. So tell me a little bit about it.
The farm shop was here over the last 3 years, let's say. I've only started since December 2022. So the farm shop was up and going, selling our vegetables and organic eggs. We're certified organic with the Irish Organic Association. So we sell these locally to customers to come in and buy. But what we did then last year, the new venture, is actually to put the cafe in with this farm shop. You can see it's kind of quaint. It used to be the changing room of the school. This was the Mercy Convent. It was a girls' school, and this was their changing room. So you can feel the cold, but on a Friday when we have it open, it's lovely and warm, and there's a great atmosphere in here. Just local people coming in, swinging by. So the cafe has made a big difference to the shop. They kind of complement each other.
And people would have kind of a thing in their heads about, I guess, all of the red tape involved in kind of going from maybe a basic enough farm shop to upscaling to a cafe. How did you find the red tape?
Not as daunting as I imagined. We asked the environmental health officer to come in, and she was really helpful. She told us our guidelines and what we had to do. At the beginning, we are a community cafe. We did a donation-based cafe at the beginning, and then as we became compliant with all the health safety criteria, we decided at that stage we could charge, and I think that's probably the right way to go. I think locally some of the people found the donation, it was they were unsure, and that wasn't good. It wasn't good for business, wasn't good for them. So I think the pricing is probably a good thing to do. We're trying to keep the prices low as we can as a community cafe.
And what type of things do you sell in the farm shop and the cafe?
Okay, so in the farm shop, it's all our seasonal organic produce. So we'd have eggs all year round, organic eggs. That's the Happy Hen brand. You'd see it kind of locally in Urban Co-op and Eats of Eden and all the nature shops around. Then it's seasonal. Like at the moment, we have cabbage, carrots, potatoes, onions. We have all the leaves, like the mixed leaves, the parsley, and all the rest of it. And again, then we have gone just into processing. So we have our own jams, chutneys and relishes that you can see right here. So we have the all organic brand, which is this one here. So it's got all the kind of labelling and all the kind of approvals from the Irish Organic Association. And we have homemade, which is Sister Mary's brand. She makes homemade jams. So we do both.
That's very nice.
In the cafe then we have, normally we'd have a quiche, and that's made with our own organic eggs, and scones are normally homemade, unless we're short staffed and we have to buy in frozen scones, but we try and keep them homemade, and all the bits like cakes, and there's usually a cheesecake every week with a different flavour, so we vary the flavours. So that's down to Natasha, our cook. She's brilliant, and Bianca, who runs the shop.
Lovely. Well, we talked about the garden and all of the produce that you guys are creating. I know there's a few animals floating around, like pigs as well. So we'll head back out and have a look at that. So Marian, we've just walked up to what you've described as the top field, and there's vegetables here on my left, big rows of them, I think red cabbages and normal green cabbages, and then on my right people can probably hear some lovely Rhode Island red hens clucking there. So will we start? I guess we'll start on the hens first, since they're commandeering the attention.
Yeah.
So Rhode Island Reds, and you said as we were walking up that you're strip grazing them at the minute, so you're giving them kind of partially bits of land, and then as they graze it, give them another fresh bit.
Yeah, so the organic system, they need to be on grass all the time, so but they go through grass like you know yourself, they just go through it so quickly. So we're trying the strip grazing on a pasture mix, to give them all the benefits of every type of wildflower and plant. They're actually Lohans, which I think are a Rhode Island Red derivative. I think they're derived from that breed.
They look a bit bigger actually than Rhode Islands, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the breed that we have. We keep them for about 18 months. Some of them have lasted nearly 2 years, but 18 months is about average. And then we rehome them. So these will be rehomed in about February. So we kind of get it up on Facebook, and families can come and take 2 or 3 and give a donation for rehoming. So they come to the end of their commercial life then. and we move them on. So this is the Happy Hen brand that we sell through Limerick City and out to Cashel, actually through County Tipperary, Dundrum, and White and Cashel.
Typically, how many hens would you have per hen house?
55 at the moment, yeah. And that's even under the square meterage that we're allowed. So we could push up to 60, we're thinking we might, but at the moment it's 55.
And how many eggs typically would you be aiming for per day then?
We would hope to get about 46, 47 a day. Yeah. So some of those houses are now down to 40 when they get down to about 38. That's when we start to think about rehoming. Yeah. But they're good, they're healthy. We don't have any major issues with them this year.
And how did you find feeding them? Because feed was quite expensive there for a while because of the war in Ukraine and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So the price of feed went up to about €1,000 a tonne, which was about twice the price of regular feed. So we found that really difficult. We had to put up our egg prices because of it, and that's what we did. And we're just going to maintain that price because we're not sure how it's going to go forward. But for sustainability, for us to actually stay open as an organic farm and to make it a viable business, we're just going to have to do that. We are a social enterprise, so everything we make goes back into the farm and stocking.
And then talk to me about, these are the outside veg. You do have polytunnels as well, but what's happening here?
Okay, so there are field veg. This would be much smaller scale than your regular horticulture enterprise. So we are very small scale and short chain supply. So we just supply directly into the likes of, like I said, the nature shops and into Limerick. We were at a farmers market in Castle Troy. We don't know, we may go into the Crescent. We're just thinking, will we, won't we? We're at that stage of just, we sell everything that we produce. So at the moment we're in that really happy position. So we have expanded our potato output because the demand was there. And we're again selling everything that we are able to produce. So that's kind of where we're at with the field veg.
That's a nice position to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm really happy, really delighted that we've got that kind of production going on. Regarding the polytunnels, again, salads are the big seller. So I'd say salads, potatoes and eggs are our three big sellers on the farm.
And how do you deal with pests? And even blight, say, for the potatoes. You try and get blight-resistant varieties.
This year we went with Sarpoaxona, and we found that that really resisted. It got a tiny bit, but and they're actually the ones we're selling at the moment. We use Connect. Connect is a lovely flavour of potato, but again, it is susceptible. I think it's 75% resistant, whereas Sarpo is about 98% resistant to different strains of blight. So we found the Sarpos are not the favourite eating potato. Like, they're great for some things but not for others. So the
Irish people are so particular about their British queens and their roosters.
Really fussy,
yeah.
Yeah, but in a good way. So look, we had to take the tops off the main crop. That's what we had to do, and there was great growth. Actually, we were very lucky with the growth. We were very lucky to get them in on time. So we had to put a few in by hand this year. As you know, it was really wet, and our only choice was to do it through regenerative. We just put them in and we put manure on top. So we got started that way.
How many acres is under potatoes and then the rest veg?
Oh God, you could talk maybe about half an acre, and it's very small. Like, it's not a big enterprise, but I think we could go bigger, and I think our aim is to go to an acre next year. We'll see.
How are you harvesting, mechanically or by hand?
Yeah, we're doing it with a spinner.
Okay.
Yeah, an old-fashioned potato spinner, and people collecting behind. But that suits our setup. That's what we're kind of set up for that.
We'll move down towards the polytunnels and talk a bit about that. So I guess in terms of growing salads, what kind of salads are you growing?
We're doing a range of the lettuces. We do the Lala Rossas and we do Mizuna. We do some of the Orientals. Little Gem. I'm waiting to go into the tunnel to actually remind myself what we have, but we have kind of a good range of salads.
Like a colourful array.
Yeah.
But do you find that there's a big demand for salad? Because it seems like such kind of a cheap thing nearly, such an easy thing to grow. But I mean, are you making a good, healthy turnover from it?
From the salads, yeah. The salad bags we find them profitable, as in, they will bring in the returns. They are labour intensive. So you're talking about, there's a lot of labour goes into cutting those. But that's what we're set up for. It's intensive horticulture, so that's kind of what we're set up for. Just get this open so we can have a look.
Oh, it's a lovely blast of heat. So, Marian, we've just stepped into your polytunnel here, and there's an array of lovely looking bushy leafed salad.
Yeah, it's lovely, healthy stuff. Like, the soil gets really good treatment, manuring, and between each crop. Like, so we've just taken out our cucumbers from up here, and some of our other salads. Now, what we've put in is the whole winter range. So you can see there's little gems over there. We've got Mizuno, we've got the mixed oriental leaves, oak leaf red and green, flat leaf parsley, we've got the spinach. I'm trying to see what else we have. Yeah, that's the kind of range that we have here.
I'm wondering, though, 'cause there's obviously more than one polytunnel and they are quite big, and then you have the hens. So you have a processing room and a packing room for all of that, which obviously you need under the guidelines as well, and requirements. Staff, how do you manage getting staff, keeping staff, and then I guess do you have a volunteer element to what's going on as well?
We're in the lucky position because we're a social enterprise and a charity that we can apply for community employment workers, rural social scheme workers, and TOOS workers. So we have 6 part-time workers under the schemes, which suits us very well. So we can actually manage with them, and we also have full-time. We have the equivalent of like 4 full-time. So some of those are divided into part-time roles. We have 2 farm workers. One of them is divided into 2 parts. So we actually have 3 farm workers. 2 of them work part-time and 1 is full-time. Myself, we have a financial officer. And who else do we have? That's what I can think of now. Yeah, so we have about 10 staff on the farm working, between one thing and another, admin and all the rest of it. We're still short-staffed because we are running services and programs, and we find that that's where there's a pinch point there, because we are getting a lot of interest from groups and schools to come in to use our farm, because we are a social farm. We do run groups and services and programs. They're all wellness programs. So we have a bit of a pinch point there, but so far we're managing. I just think we are under pressure. We would love to get another position in here if we could. If we could find a funded position or some benefactor that would give us a funded position, we'd love to get somebody in to run the programs for us. That would be the ideal.
And talk to me about the social farm element, because there's a huge ethos of tying in farming with wellness, which is lovely, and it helping kind of reframe the mental mindset as well.
So social farming is one aspect of green care. Green care is like an umbrella term for any type of wellness that's out there in nature. So social farming is one, social therapeutic farming would be another, fitness, like what they call like forest bathing and all that kind of stuff, biodiversity, eco-psychotherapy, all this, there's a huge amount of they all fit under this one umbrella term of green care. So equine therapy would be another one, but I think where we might be going is equine assisted learning, which is not quite equine therapy, but it is working with equines like ponies and horses. So we may go down that route. We may also stick with the horticulture and the social farming. So,
and what type of people come?
So we would get people from, say, organisations. We've linked in with a couple of local organisations in Limerick. So Novus, which would be the homelessness services. We've linked in with Brothers of Charity, Ferndale, Moorhaven, and that would be adults maybe with intellectual disability. So we linked in with groups like that, and we will set up a programme for them to come in. So at the moment we have a partnership with the Limerick Clare Educational Training Board. They provide a chef and we provide a facilitator, and we run Recipe for Success. So that'd be an example of a free programme that we offer out to the organisations, and we get the facilitator paid by the LCTB or by the All and the Solace grant, really. So they would come in for a 6-week programme, 2 hours a week. They'd walk around the farm, feed the animals, harvest food, bring it back into the kitchen, and they will do a cookery session. And then Ger, who is the tutor, he will take out the literacy sheets, and wherever people are at with their literacy, it is to improve it, but it's using the kinesthetic method of learning rather than sitting looking at a blackboard, which a lot of people who are hard to reach adults, a lot of people have been traumatized through the education system for one reason or another. They do not want to go back into the education system. They do not want to sit and look at a blackboard. So this works for the hard to reach, to get that group in. So we have that, and we also have other similar programs, like one for schools called Happy Saplings, where they come in and do a farm to fork type of a program. It's 6 weeks, very similar. They'll collect the food, they'll cook it, but a lot of the outcomes are mental health, physical health and social health, being able to ask ask for something or state your needs, like I'd like to do this, or so the communication is kind of addressed within the group, you know. And those outcomes are amazing, as in we never expected outcomes like sitting around a table eating together, which is not something every child is, you know, they don't get that. They may have to go home, get a takeaway, or the dinner's in the oven, or, you know, it's not something we take it for granted, but that was an unusual outcome. We didn't expect that one. Reduction in anxiety, people not going to school and returning to school, like, you know, there are interesting outcomes from a lot of these nature-based programs that we're running.
I guess it ties into sort of an organic ethos as well, and that it's kind of the whole being that you're looking at it. It's not just kind of the food, but the community around the food and how you're impacting it. So it all ties in.
It all ties in, but I don't know if you've heard of that term, biophilia. It's a theory of our innate need for nature. So that biophilia is something that a lot of these studies have researched to see what the outcomes are. And it's almost like when you go into nature, you probably know yourself, you're from a farm, you just relax. You're like, oh my God, I'm here. You know, I'm at home. There's kind of a real sense of groundedness and being at home once you're out with the animals, the plants, the trees, the river, the nature, whatever. So I think a lot of that is what they get here.
Marian, it's been fascinating, and we're coming, I guess, to the end of the podcast. Looking ahead, I know you touched upon it a few times, but what are you looking ahead for, you know, 2025?
I think we're branching out into school tours. We hope that we get some more schools in. We're just at a kind of a crossroads because we're finalising a strategic plan to see where do we go. Do we become a go-to destination? Do we get onto the tourism track? Do we expand our farm? Do we reduce our farm? So we're at that point. I would see personally that we'd expand the farming. The demand is there for organic produce. The demand is there for our services. But we've got to make it pay. So I think that's where maybe the tourism side will come into it. We'll wait and see.
Thank you very much for that. And for everyone listening, you've been listening to Organic Matters, the podcast brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. Marian, for people who want to find out more about Doon Social Farm, where can they find out about you?
We do have a web page. It's Ballyhoura Rural Services. That is our mother organisation. They can also contact me at Doon Social Farm. You'll find us on Facebook and Instagram, or email manager@ballyhourars for ruralservices.org.
That's it. Thank you very much. And for anyone looking to find out more about organics, go to www.irishorganicassociation.ie. But for me, Hannah Quinn Mulligan, thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back again in another 2 weeks.